Hey, everybody, before we start today's show, I want to tell you about a live taping coming up on October 3rd at 7 o'clock. We're going to be doing the Chicago Podcast Festival in front of a live audience over at the Beat Kitchen, which is 2100 West Belmont in Chicago. We're going to have 3 special guests and snacks. More information at the ChicagoPodcastFestival.org. Come see us.
This episode of the Feed Podcast is brought to you by the Chicago French Market. The market offers fresh ingredients for cooking at home, delicious grab-and-go options for any meal of the day, or even a simple picnic or office party.
The Chicago French Market, a taste of Europe in the heart of the Midwest.
This episode of the Feed Podcast is brought to you by Oscar's Mexican Seafood. With 5 locations throughout the San Diego area, Oscar's focuses on Baja-style fish tacos, fresh ceviches, and hearty seafood burritos.
And all their salsas and agua frescas made on site every day. They'll even cater. For more information, oscarsmexicanseafood.com.
The Feed Podcast is brought to you in part by United Healthcare. A lot of people think insurance companies are all the same, if they think of them at all.
Oh, I think of them all the time when I'm paying my bills.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. When you pay that check every month.
The copay also, that's kind of annoying.
It is.
But United Healthcare is different. They offer a range of unique programs, things like Real Appeal, a weight loss program for a full year at no additional cost to your employees. And how does a $0 copay sound?
Fabulous.
That sounds really good.
Amazing.
I'm paying like $25 right now. If you see your primary care physician, that could be an option too. More information, go to uhc.com/benefits.
You're listening to The Feed Podcast. Get the inside scoop by following us on Twitter at The Feed Podcast.
I am constantly amazed at how many new breweries we have in Chicago. For years, it was just Goose Island, now owned by Anheuser-Busch, obviously.
Right.
But we've been getting a ton of new operators. Like every 4 or 5 months, I hear about a new place, right?
It is absolutely true. I don't even think you have to wait 4 or 5 months. It seems like every other week there's an announcement that there's a new brewery here in Chicago.
It's like Goose started this craft brewing in the
Right.
80s, and then there was nothing. And I think, the properties in Chicago are so expensive.
Yeah.
Land is just not, it's not like we're spread out. It's a pretty dense city, but yet, like Metropolitan came online several years ago, and they're doing lagers.
Right.
And everybody's kind of focusing on one thing. Like Lagunitas, of course, West Coast, but came here to do an enormous operation that I think they're brewing everything that goes east of the Mississippi. They're doing IPAs.
Yeah, and they have a huge brewery here.
It's like an airplane hangar.
Right.
But then some people just do, they just focus on, I don't know, seasonal Belgian or Saisons or porch pounders or whatever, but it's just everybody's got their niche.
But isn't that cool? Because it means that so many people are bringing so much creativity to the brewing world here in Chicago that we can learn a lot. I can certainly learn a lot, but also it just enhances the quality of our lives. We have so many wonderful things to taste.
Well, coming up on today's show, a tasting and discussion with the only brewery, as far as I know, that spends as much time thinking about how its beer will pair with food as it does on creating new flavors. And newsflash, that means no bitter IPAs.
Yay!
Yay, I know. Stay with us. It's a family show as long as everyone at your place is 21 or over. This is the Feed Podcast. I'm Steve Dolinsky, a food and travel reporter at ABC 7 News, the Chicago Tribune, and Canada's Globe and Mail.
And I'm Rick Bayless, the chef and owner of Chicago's Frontera Grill, Topolo Bampo Choco, Leña Brava, and host of Public Television's Mexico, One Plate at a Time.
And every week, the Feed takes a deep dive into the world of professional chefs, restaurateurs, food artisans, and drink experts, sharing their stories and uncovering their passion for food and drink. But that's not all. Rick and I are always traveling the globe for our jobs, eating, drinking, as we are today, and immersing ourselves in the local culture. And if we find something exciting along the way, you can be sure it's going to find its way here to our James Beard Award-winning podcast. Well, 100 years ago, there were dozens of breweries in Chicago. A lot of them were the result of German and Czech immigrants who brought their expertise with them. Prohibition stopped most of that progress in the 1920s, and the rising cost of property in the city in the decades since has made it nearly impossible to set up a large-scale operation. Goose Island, as we said earlier, began a second wave in the 80s. And over the past couple of years, the pace of new brewery construction in Chicago has quickened significantly. A partial list, and this is very partial, includes
very partial.
Revolution, Half Acre, Five Rabbit, Metropolitan, Vice District, Motor Row, Dry Hop, and of course mega brewer Lagunitas,
And wait.
Yeah.
There's one left here that you've left off of this. That's Cruz Blanca.
Yes.
I might have partial ownership
Jesus.
in. Sorry about that, but I had to throw it in.
You're right. Okay, so and then Lagunitas on the opposite side of that would
Right.
opened a facility as big as an airplane hangar a couple of years ago, and they're producing all their beer that ships east of the Mississippi. And then one of my favorites, Little Moody Tongue, launched by a professionally trained chef who grew up in Louisville. That's an important plot point for later. They produce several lower alcohol beers that are perfect for pairing with food. And Moody Tongue's founder and brewmaster, Jared Rouben, joins us for the whole show today. Jared, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Great to have you. Going into this, so one of your marketing people who reached out to me, I saw your beer at an event at Wrigley Field several months ago, and I thought, another brewery, Yahoo, and they're probably going to do IPAs, and they're probably going to be really bitter, and I'm not going to be excited about it. And I tasted a couple of things, and I thought, wow, this is really different. And when I talked to you,
he's the one that knows.
So so tell us about your story a little bit. I know your story, but tell us how you got into this, because the way you're approaching beer is very, very different.
Yeah, the way we approach beer, we like to be thoughtful with our guest palates. We define our style as culinary brewing, and that's just taking a chef's mindset to highlight flavors and the aromatics within beer. My beginning came actually the second week of culinary school up at the CIA in New York when I tried to join the wine club. They had told me that I had to have a minimum GPA and that each event was going to be around $25. So as a culinary student, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. So the next week I opened the CIA Brew Club, and everyone was welcome regardless of GPA, and all events were free. So as you can imagine, we became quite popular.
I would imagine so.
And how did you connect with Rick? Because you guys have done a little project on the side, too.
We have, actually,
Yes,
a number of years ago over when we were at Goose Island, and we were brewing a beer with Goose Island. And it was one of my favorite beers, and it was all Jared who had done all of that.
Yeah, it was one of my greatest challenges and greatest honors to brew Marisol for Chef. And I think it was just after he had won Top Chef Masters, and he had come in, and John Hall, the owner of Goose Island, had said, "Look, A++ today, Jared. Bring it." And what was such a pleasure about working with Chef is he knew exactly what he wanted from the minute we began our conversation. Where we met in the middle was language and vocabulary, which is something that we really try to push at Moody Tongue. His everyday, he's speaking to ingredients that he'd find in the kitchen, where my everyday, I speak about ingredients you find in the brewery. But where we can be in the middle is speaking to flavors, tastes, and aromatics, which is what we all have in common. And that kind of vocabulary is something we're really trying to push at Moody Tongue and just throughout the beer community in Chicago.
So give me an example of that, because you have some very specific descriptions.
Absolutely. Instead of defining or describing a beer as hoppy, which I think we're all guilty of, we say maybe there's mango on the nose, maybe there's papaya, maybe there's grilled pineapple. Grilled pineapple is Chinook hops, mango is Galaxy, ruby red grapefruit is Cascade. So by using fruits that we either see in the market or in a grocery store, we include everyone in the conversation, regardless of their beer knowledge. And that's how we began our discussion.
We did. I would throw out some different flavors that I wanted to see in the beer, and he knew exactly how to translate those flavors into a brew. The other thing is that as a chef, we're always talking about the flow of a meal and things complementing other aspects of a dish. And so we're thinking in a much broader way, a much broader scale. And when I was working with Jared on the beer, it was clear to me that he was keeping the bigger picture in his mind. How is this going to fit into a meal? How is it going to pair with food? To me, that's something that a whole lot of brewers don't do.
So you learned that by working at Per Se, for example?
Well, working Per Se, I learned how to be meticulous, attention to detail, and work incredibly fast. And there was no second chances. You only had a first. And so after that kind of experience, taking that to the brewery is what I was kind of known for, which that just means clean as you go. Same things that every chef instills in every kitchen. Keep it clean, move fast, and if you don't have the answer, you don't need to speak up.
You've got a beautiful tasting room in Pilsen, which is just south of downtown Chicago. From the outside, it looks like nothing. It's just another brick building. You walk inside, it's this sort of mid-century modern, almost like Don Draper Mad Men-ish furniture, and there's like a fireplace, and there's a really cool bar, lots of taps. There's one beer you can only get there, right? That's the truffle.
The shaved black truffle
shaved black
pilsner.
truffle pilsner.
Yeah, and just to give
Gosh, I haven't been to taste that. You have to describe it. What is it? What does it taste like?
Well, and this is kind of a challenge question over here, because describing truffle, I think, is arguably one of the most difficult things, because so few of us have actually experienced truffle beyond what one finds as truffle oil on our truffle fries. So, and just to be very clear here, the truffles we use are from Menjum, Australia. They're baseball size. I shave them by hand.
Can you capture that incredible aroma?
In the question he's asking, that is the hardest part about handling truffles, is capturing it and keeping it in there, because usually we're shaving truffles on pasta with brown butter and we're consuming that within 2 to 3 minutes. But imagine putting truffle in a medium that stays. That keeps. So when you open it, you unlock that truffle magic for the guest who's enjoying it. That's why I love it, is that there's no rush with this truffle and the appreciation behind it. And to directly answer his question, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I think the safest answers are earth and soil, but I don't know if that really defines truffle. I don't have the answer behind describing truffle yet. It's something we're working on, but I think it comes down to vocabulary. And in this specific example, it's something that I'm trying to improve is my truffle vocabulary.
Talk about the lighter beers you have, though, because you have some beers that pair with dessert, some beers that I think are just great, almost like aperitifs, and you serve them in the appropriate glassware, which is really interesting.
Yeah, for me, having the opportunity to build the Moody Tongue tasting room, I'm a details person, and I wanted to be able to excite guests the minute they walked in, regardless of their background or knowledge of beer. I think one of the best ways to do that is surround yourself with beautiful things. And if we're going to serve one thing and work really hard to create that one thing, it better be in the most beautiful home or the most beautiful vessel. Right. And for us, that's Mark Thomas hand-blown glassware. And yes, I know this is a brewery. Doesn't matter to us. We work so hard to create something. Give it a place where people are going to give it a second smell, a second taste, and certainly a second glance.
Listen, we're going to take a short break, but coming up, Jared's going to share a few of his favorite beers with us. Then later, dessert in a glass and on the plate as we try one of Moody Tongue's 2 items from the menu in their beautiful modern tasting room. Stay with us.
Arrive at the meal late? Check out previous episodes, get recipes from ingredient challenges, and see behind-the-scenes pictures at thefeedpodcast.com.
Commuters have known this for some time, but over in the West Loop at the Ogilvy Transportation Center, there are more than 30 specialty vendors just waiting to feed you inside the Chicago French Market.
The market offers fresh ingredients for cooking at home, delicious grab-and-go options for any meal of the day, or even a simple picnic or office party.
My name is Sarah. We are making sushi. First time maybe you can have cooked sushi, tempura shrimp with some vegetables and avocado, asparagus, cucumber or cream cheese. And first trial, let that be good. And few different salad, seaweed salad, squid salad, and edamame hat. And also we serve with many different kind of Japanese drink. Yeah.
Have you seen the lines, by the way, over at the Aloha Poke over there? And there's like the Aloha Poke, there's a line, and then there's Fumare Meats, and then there's, well, as you just heard the vendor, I mean, there's so much going on right now in that market. There's quite a lot to eat.
That's very exciting. I got to go over there and have some poke.
They've got 2 entrances, 131 North Clinton and 118 North Canal. And how about this? Covered parking is free for an hour with a $20 purchase.
Wow, that's great. They're open Monday to Saturday. You can also grab a bite and surf the internet since Wi-Fi is free. The Chicago French Market, a taste of Europe in the heart of the Midwest.
Hey, Rick, I got a question. Like, how would you describe a fish taco?
My favorite fish tacos are inspired by the fish tacos in Baja. Usually there, the fish is dipped in a like tempura-like batter and fried, and then they got all these delicious toppings that go on them. It's
crema, right? There's cabbage.
Crema, cabbage, hot sauce.
Avocado?
There can be avocado. Some people put them, some people don't. But I have to say, it's this stuff that dreams are made out of.
They are. I've done that trip.
Yes.
And, the next best thing in the U.S. is in San Diego. It's called Oscar's Mexican Seafood. They started out as a food truck in Tijuana, became a tiny shack in Pacific Beach just north of San Diego. Now they've got 5 locations in and around the city, including the latest in Encinitas. Everything's fresh, never frozen, and they make their salsas and agua frescas fresh on site each day. More information, visit oscarsmexicanseafood.com. How crazy is it to think you can actually have your insurance company pay you to walk?
What?
Yes, they're going to pay you to walk. United Healthcare isn't crazy. They just want you to be healthy.
Oh, one of their new programs is called United Healthcare Motion, where members can earn more than $1,000 a year toward their health reimbursement account or health savings account just for walking.
I didn't even know I had a health savings account or a reimbursement account, but that would be a good thing. How do $0 copays sound?
Absolutely fabulous.
That would be nice. That's a nice advancement in society. Or pharmacy experience that offers more flexibility and less disruption.
Well, if your company works with United Healthcare, ask your friendly HR person about their programs, and if not, go tell them to switch today.
I'm going to tell mine. Call 877-233-2059 or go to uhc.com/benefits to get more information.
United Healthcare, a proud supporter of the Illinois Restaurant Association and committed to your good health.
Get the inside scoop by following us on Twitter @The Feed Podcast.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're talking with Jared Rouben today, owner, founder, brewmaster at Moody Tongue Brewing here in Chicago. You brought a couple of beers for us today. What do you have? What are we going to start with?
Okay, well, we're going to start with one of my favorite projects, which is our farmer's market beer. We take one ingredient from the Green City Market, and we highlight it in one beer, and it's from one farm. This week, we have Klug Farms, which... Mick Klug behind that, I think now Abby Klug as well. And what you're going to get here, it's our pressed bubblegum plum lager.
So there's no bubble gum in it. We have to clarify that it is the bubblegum plum, one of my absolute favorite plums there. I have seen you at the market picking out your fruit while we were picking out fruits and vegetables for our restaurants.
But you never see brewmasters do, going to pick
you
out their
never
fruit at the
see it,
market.
but we've crossed paths a number of times there.
This is an ingredient that I look forward to every year. I try to call dibs at the beginning of the year. It never works out that way. It's if you're there a week before and you beg and plead, then... And Mother Nature rewards us. This year, the yield for bubblegum plums, it was a small yield. So
you can taste the plums. So beautiful, fruity, effervescent.
You can, but it's balanced. It's not like one of those beers that is flavored with a fruit.
Like a
this
cherry
is completely
beer right.
integrated into it.
Yeah.
And it's when you swallow that the flavors all unite. And you start to think about that plum flavor, both acid and sweet. There's both of those elements in it. But then you know why they call it bubblegum plum, because at the very end, your head's just filled with this gentle bubblegum-like flavor.
I just love the nose. To me, that says, I want to drink that. And ABV's got to be under 5.
That's right. You nailed it. It's 5%.
5%. Okay. What else do you have? You have something else?
Yeah, the next one we have 3 more. The next one.
3 more?
Sorry, guys.
Dude, I got other shows to do after this. Come on.
3 more.
3 more. All right. So we'll just pour these out. Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the next one we have is our smoked applewood gold. You're going to get applewood smoke on the nose. You're also going to find it on the palate. Yet it's still light and refreshing. And smoke is an aromatic and a flavor profile we usually reserve for barbecue or scotch. And the truth is, this is a style of beer that the Germans, specifically out in Bamberg, have been making for quite a bit of time. For me, I love to pair with smoke. Of course, mezcal. I should have mentioned mezcal as well. That would have been remiss if I did not. Yeah. But what I love to do is take this smoked applewood gold and I pair it with our chocolate cake, our 12-layer chocolate cake. And this was kind of like an accident, this pairing coming together, because we went through the beer styles I think would, on paper, make a lot more sense. The chocolate syrup Baltic Porter, the steeped Emperor's Lemon Saison, the sliced nectarine IPA. But from what I took away was that just like when we take brisket, or probably brisket, we rub it down with brown sugar, and you have that combination of smoke and sweet. And that's what we've done with this pairing. We've taken the smokiness from the light lager and paired it with our very rich chocolate cake. I love the pairing. But
wouldn't your caramelized chocolate churro Baltic Porter go better with the cake?
Like I said, that's what we thought. Me and pastry chef Shannon Morrison, we thought that was going to be a no-brainer, and it does pair very, very, very well. But when you take all the different layers together and you pair it with the smoked applewood gold as a whole bite, I prefer the gold.
Okay, because I want to talk about the cake in our last segment.
Okay, we'll do that. But then I'm saving this one because I was just about to cut into this cake here because it is calling my name right now. It is so beautiful.
Tease. We like to tease things so people stick around later in the show. So let's move on to another beer for now.
Okay. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so what do we have here?
This is our Steeped Emperor's Lemon Saison.
Steeped Emperor's Lemon Saison.
So that would be from Emperor's Lemons.
That's right. And we that's
well, where do those come from?
Well, good question here. We use our friend Rod Marcus over at the Rare Tea Cellar, and he helps us with this blend. And what you're going to get is Meyer lemon on the nose and Meyer lemon on the palate.
Totally on the nose. And by the way, Rod Marcus is one of those guys, when people say, like, or chefs say, I got a guy, or who finds me stuff, he's that guy.
He's the guy.
He's that guy, because he's got, like, stuff from all over the world, aging in, like, sherry casks.
So think about this with oysters, because we serve two things at Moody Tongue. On the sweet side, we serve 12-layer German chocolate cake, and on the salty side, we serve oysters. That come from all over the country, East Coast and West Coast. And my vision behind this beer is anytime you're slicing a lemon and squeezing that over your protein, that's what the job of this beer is supposed to be doing, to provide acidity, to excite our palate, and to provide a fresh bite each time.
Sure. Well, rather than having a Sauv Blanc, or a Chablis, like.
Well, the thing about all of these is that they're all done with a gentle hand. Nothing is overpowering, so they could easily just slip right in there with the food and just complement
I know
the food.
All these brewmasters and breweries want to hit you over the head with flavor, and this just seems so much more delicate and nuanced.
So why is that? Why are we seeing double, triple, quadruple IPAs that you can hardly even swallow because they're so bitter?
I can't speak to why we're seeing that on the market. I know in the past it was who could provide more hops, who could provide more alcohol, who could provide more malt. But for us in Moody Tongue, we want to be one small part of the culinary equation, which means if we're creating beers that you can't have more than one of, then we need to rethink the recipe.
All right, listen, got to take one more quick break, guys. Got to pay the bills. Coming up, dessert in a glass and on the plate as we attempt to blow Rick's mind with his layer cake that was created specifically to go with some of their beers. Then Rick and I wrap things up, plus we're going to preview some scenes from next week's show, so stay with us.
Arrive at the meal late? Check out previous episodes, get recipes from ingredient challenges, and see behind-the-scenes pictures at thefeedpodcast.com.
Commuters have known this for some time, but over in the West Loop at the Ogilvy Transportation Center, there are more than 30 specialty vendors just waiting to feed you inside the Chicago French Market.
The market offers fresh ingredients for cooking at home, delicious grab-and-go options for any meal of the day, or even a simple picnic or office party.
My name is Felipe Prado. I am the general manager of Frietoken, which means Fry Shack in Dutch. They're double fried, first of all, but also they're hand-cut, hand-peeled, they're blanched, the whole process, it's meticulously done. The sauces we all make in-house. Currently we have 22 different flavors. We make them all here by infusing different kinds of like truffle, basil. Try to encourage people to try all the different sauces. They do love it.
Have you seen the lines, by the way, over at the Aloha Poke over there? And there's like the Aloha Poke, there's a line, and then there's Fumare Meats, and then there's, well, as you just heard the vendor, I mean, there's so much going on right now in that market. There's quite a lot to eat.
That's very exciting. I got to go over there and have some poke.
They've got two entrances, 131 North Clinton and 118 North Canal. And how about this? Covered parking is free for an hour with a $20 purchase.
Wow, that's great. They're open Monday to Saturday. You can also grab a bite and surf the internet since Wi-Fi is free. The Chicago French Market, a taste of Europe in the heart of the Midwest.
Hey, Rick, I got a question. Like, how would you describe a fish taco?
My favorite fish tacos are inspired by the fish tacos in Baja. Usually there, the fish is dipped in a like tempura-like batter and fried, and then they got all these delicious toppings that go on them. It's
crema, and there's cabbage.
Crema, cabbage, hot sauce.
Avocado?
They can be avocado. Some people put them, some people don't. But I have to say, it's this stuff that dreams are made out of.
They are. I've done that trip.
Yes.
And the next best thing in the U.S. is in San Diego. It's called Oscar's Mexican Seafood. They started out as a food truck in Tijuana, became a tiny shack in Pacific Beach just north of San Diego. Now they've got 5 locations in and around the city, including the latest in Encinitas. Everything's fresh, never frozen, and they make their salsas and agua frescas fresh on site each day. More information, visit oscarsmexicanseafood.com. How crazy is it to think you can actually have your insurance company pay you to walk?
What?
Yes, they're going to pay you to walk. United Healthcare isn't crazy. They just want you to be healthy.
Oh, one of their new programs is called United Healthcare Motion, where members can earn more than $1,000 a year toward their health reimbursement account or health savings account just for walking.
I didn't even know I had a health savings account or a reimbursement account, but that would be a good thing. How do $0 copays sound?
Absolutely fabulous.
That would be nice. That's a nice advancement in society. Or pharmacy experience that offers more flexibility and less disruption.
Well, if your company works with United Healthcare, ask your friendly HR person about their programs, and if not, go tell them to switch today.
I'm going to tell mine. Call 877-233-2059 or go to uhc.com/benefits to get more information.
United Healthcare, a proud supporter of the Illinois Restaurant Association and committed to your good health.
Get the inside scoop by following us on Twitter @TheFeedPodcast.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're talking with Jared Rouben today, owner and brewmaster at Moody Tongue Brewing. They have a pretty cool tasting room at the brewery, as we mentioned. And on the menu, in addition to several beers on tap, a menu with just two things that you mentioned earlier, oysters and cake. Why just two things, Jared?
I wanted to keep it simple, and for me, I love dessert and beer pairings, and we never have them because by the time we get to that course in our beer dinner, we're either too intoxicated or too full. So we never get the opportunity to pair sweets with beer, and I think it's by far the better pairing.
Your colleague made this 12-layer cake, which is just gorgeous. What's in it?
Okay, so within the 12 layers, the crust is graham cracker, chocolate cereal, and pretzel. The next layer is espresso cheesecake. Then you've got chocolate cake. Then you have the German chocolate portion of it, which is caramel, toasted pecan, and coconut. Then you've got more chocolate cake, then buttercream, and then the layers continue again,
and
all wrapped around mirror glass.
And what am I drinking with this?
So let's start with the smoked applewood gold.
Okay.
And I want you to take a bite of cake, then take the gold, keeping, and it's just smoky and sweet.
I'm going at it not typically liking beer pairings with my dessert, so you're gonna, I think, turn me around today.
I like that smokiness. There's something a little bit brighter about this that I wasn't expecting. I think I always expect sort of dark caramely heavy with dessert, but this actually is a bit lighter and brighter to I don't know, to balance the richness.
And wouldn't that be a wonderful way to finish your meal so you don't feel so heavy and so bloated, and yet we're still having delicious dessert?
That's exactly right. Now, this is more than delicious dessert. This is one of the best chocolate cakes I've ever eaten in my life.
People, seriously, if you like chocolate of any kind, in any shape or form, fly to Chicago already and go have this cake, because it's really, there's nothing like this in the city of Chicago.
No, there's nothing like it. So I love the smoky element that you get from the very moment that you raise the glass to your nose. What I was reminded of is how I like to have an espresso sometimes with my dessert. I know that's not fancy, but anyway, I like to have it, and I like that bitterness, and I'm loving the finishing bitterness because it cleans up my palate to go back for my next mouthful. I'm loving it.
I've already gone to the next beer. Okay. I like the smoked one more than this.
Do you?
Dark. Yeah. I don't know. This, I think you'd sip it on your own, but it's too much. It's hitting me over the head. It's too much. Yeah. What's in this? And the ABV's got to be much higher.
It is much higher. It's our caramelized chocolate churro Baltic Porter. And no, we don't put chocolate churros in here. But the name, the name's already long enough. But we do use cacao. We use Tahitian vanilla bean and Mexican cinnamon with a great grain bill and some wonderful yeast, and it does taste very close to a chocolate churro. Yeah. The cinnamon, the toffee, the coffee, the chocolate, and
I mean it mimics so much of what's in the cake. Yes. I think, but I like to have
the
contrast.
I went in thinking I was going to love it, and I think I'm in your camp. I really like the lighter one. Yeah. I like the smokiness of it, and I like the way that it cleans up at the end. So it could be that there's just too much of the same thing going on.
I believe so.
In the porter.
Where do people find Moody Tongue in Chicago or elsewhere?
Yeah, well, you can come down to the tasting room at 2136 South Peoria in Pilsen, or you can find us at some of the fantastic restaurants within the city of Chicago. Just ask for Moody Tongue, and they will pour you something absolutely incredible.
All right, Jared Rouben from Moody Tongue, thanks again for coming in today and having us great tasting of both the cake and the beers. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jared. Coming up next week, our first live show in front of an audience with live guests.
Yes, actual human beings. Our show kicks off the Chicago Podcast Festival, so we're celebrating with snacks from the South Side, a sausage maven who's been popping up in the bleachers at Wrigley Field, and Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, our food lover in chief. That's next week on the show.
You can always contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at The Feed Podcast. There's another plus. You can check out our ingredient challenges, get recipes and other information about previous shows by simply visiting our website, thefeedpodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. Be sure to follow me at Rick_Bayless.
And I'm at Steve Dolinsky. We're also on the Apple Podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. Man, we're everywhere. We've also got a new Facebook group, The Feed Podcast, so check it out. More information about Moody Tongue on our website as well. I produced today's show. Linnea Dominic's our intern. Max Dolinsky supervised today's music. Bureaucratic wrote and performed our theme song. And The Feed Podcast is edited by Matt Cunningham at Truthful Enthusiasm. Whether you're an individual or institution, get your story online with truthfulenthusiasm.com. Thanks for listening, everybody.